Hello, and welcome to Digital Artcast, hosted by Neill. This podcast is proudly sponsored by Procreate, the most advanced painting app ever designed for a mobile device. We'll be discussing the app a little more later in the episode, as well as giving away a free copy. But for now, let's get started.
Hey guys, welcome back to Digital Artcast. Thanks for joining me in another episode. Today we've got another interview lined up with a kind of last minute surprise. Eliza is joining us all the way from California. So say hey,
Hello.
Eliza. Hey. Now, I'm not going to butcher it, but how do I pronounce your surname?
It's Ivanova.
Ivanova. Okay, I'll try and remember that as we go through.
No worries. And actually, it's Eliza.
Eliza.
Kind of like my username. Yeah.
Right, okay.
I know, it's confusing.
No, it's
Don't worry.
I think it's probably just the English in me that's trying to pronounce Eli, so instead of Lee, so yeah, but yeah, we'll get, okay, Eliza, okay, we've got that sorted. So, awkward out the way, on your interview, we've got the name sorted, so we thought we talked through that before we started the interview, but it's fine, it's okay, we're going with it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sorry to correct you.
Yeah, it's all good. So Eliza, you're joining us all the way from California, and you are currently, I think, I don't know, people won't be able to see it on the podcast, but you are phoning from an office, and is it Pixar offices you're phoning from at the moment?
Yeah, it's not my office, it's a conference room.
Yeah, conference room. But a conference room at Pixar nonetheless, so yeah, so it's, yay! So Eliza is currently, is currently an animator at Pixar Studios, out in California, which I think for a lot of artists in the industry is one of the big time studios. I mean, between them and like maybe ILM and stuff like that is some of the bigger kind of more achievable places that people want to work in their life.
Yeah.
But of course, you weren't always there. You probably had a starting like all of us, because originally you're not a native of California. You did come originally from Bulgaria.
Not at all.
Yeah, so. Kind of take us back to the start. It depends how far you want to go back, but even stuff like when did you start drawing? Why did you get into drawing? And kind of at what point did you find that you wanted to do this the rest of your life?
Yeah. So I moved to the U.S. when I was 17, which is 13 years ago. Yeah. So it's been a while. Yeah. And I came here for college straight from Bulgaria after graduating high school. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I can hear you. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
That's fine.
And I didn't go to art school back in Bulgaria. I studied at the American College of Sofia, which is a satellite American school. So I got a diploma that was legit American.
Right. Cool.
Meaning like it counted here.
Yeah.
So I could go to college and not take any community college, which was such a bonus, Yeah. But before that, I was drawing, and I wanted to be a painter. That was the initial goal through high school. I went to a private studio where I was doing a lot of life drawing, all kinds of stuff, like models, still lifes, everything, all that stuff. Yeah. And it was amazing. It was such a great learning experience and very strict.
Yeah.
So all my fundamentals art-wise came from there. Mm-hmm. And I went to go to the Bulgarian Academy of Art to study and get my degree, as a painter. But, I always wanted to do film and get into film. Mm-hmm. That's why I think it was kind of the idea was churning in my head. It was just there. Yeah. It's not really coming out until 11th grade when I was like, I can do animation, which is both cinema. There's a lot of drawing, obviously. Yeah. And, at the time I was thinking 2D animation, but that was, obviously there was a lot of 3D already.
Yeah.
So I was looking into that too. Mm-hmm. I started just researching, animators that I loved and trying to find out where they went to school, how like they came to be where they are.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way, right? You kind of do your research and start seeing common stuff. One of which was going to CalArts, like a bunch of the CalArts alumni that I loved graduated there, or they went for like a few years. You don't have to necessarily graduate, but definitely there's something about the school. One thing, which is the biggest thing, is it was established back in the day by Walt Disney.
Yeah.
So it's considered to be his school, and so I ended up doing summer school there to try it. That was when I was 17, like before graduation, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I learned to prepare my portfolio. I was like, okay, so they need a lot of life drawing just to show my skills, like my fundamentals, that I know how to draw a lot of gestures to show that like I kind of understand motion, can draw fast, because that's the biggest requirement, right, for 2D animation.
Drawing quickly, yeah.
There's a lot of quick stuff and silhouette. You understand all that.
Yeah.
So I prepared my portfolios, not just for CalArts, for a bunch of schools.
Yeah. Is that
send them out.
I'm just wondering with the CalArts thing as well. Is that different from Art Center? Are they two different schools?
Yes.
Yeah. Right, okay. Yeah. So
I'm not sure if Art Center has animation. Maybe they do.
So you were more trying to move towards animation than just pure drawing or painting, right? Okay. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, I was fixated. Like, I want to be an animator. Whatever it is, there's something to that I want to do.
Right.
And it'll get me like that one foot in the door in the film industry.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I think the decision factor definitely was the summer school, because I find out that when you go to a film school, you learn about the entire process of filmmaking. Mm-hmm. It's not just like animation, it's like storyboarding. I took producing classes,
right.
How to create a budget, packages you can send to for grants, for to find sponsorship. So you kind of go through everything. And definitely, they have a film school for live action as well, CalArts. So I took a bunch of their classes just because I was just hungry to learn about all that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's how I ended up with I made 4 films there, 4 short films each year. There's that's kind of usually the requirement. You don't have to necessarily finish. I don't think there's a penalty for that, but definitely, why not take the time and advantage?
Yeah.
Just make films. So I made 4 films. My junior film got pretty popular, and I think that's what attracted the attention of some of the Pixar guys.
Right.
So when they were looking for, they go to schools every year, look for people. So they saw my films, they saw my work. Because I didn't put just the films, I put kind of a bunch of stuff, some of my artwork as well.
Yeah.
And they set me up a little interview, kind of a preliminary stage. So we talked, and they're like, we understand you don't know 3D animation, because I took some 3D classes, but not extensively. Mainly, my main thing was 2D, yeah. A lot of drawing, a lot of storyboarding too.
Yeah.
So they're like, well, we'll teach you the software. Like, that's the part we can do for you. We can't teach you the creative part. Like, you have that.
Yeah.
Which was such a refreshing thing to say, because when you're in school, you're in a bubble. You don't know. You're like, maybe I should have taken more 3D. Who knows? Yeah. And actually, that is true, because another studio, I'm not going to say the name, they said, sorry, you need to know Maya. Like, you don't know Maya, we can't do anything about that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Which is disappointing, obviously, because even if it was a studio you were quite interested in, and then they say that, you're kind of like, oh shit. Yeah. So it's because
I was ready to take classes, like, and learn it. But again, that will take at least half a year, maybe, or a few months to really get good at it.
Yeah. It's a fear I have just now as well, where because with my degree, it's so 3D focused, but my focus is personally I want to do 2D character work and even environment stuff as well, but the need to learn 3D stuff is obviously taking away time from my 2D aspect, and that bugs me. Because I want to be able to do 3D because that is proficient in the industry just now, and it's great if you know that stuff, but I want to try and, at this early stage especially, try and focus on my 2D skills. Did you find it hard making that balance kind of between 2D and 3D?
Oh yeah, it definitely. You mean at work or before that?
No, I mean like even at school, I would say before you got into industry.
Yeah, it was hard because I mean you creatively put in your everything in each project, right? So when you have 10 different things going on, you're just spreading yourself thin.
Yeah.
Where it's great if you can like kind of focus your attention here and here. Sometimes though you don't have time because you have school, like especially at school. I mean there's lectures, there's grades, you got to do that, the deadlines.
Or even
I wish I took more 3D at school. Looking back, like that was kind of one thing that I would probably tell my my student self.
Yeah.
Take CG. Why not? It's a tool. Like it's not. There was this weird kind of stigma about 3D animation. It's like, oh, you're gonna be a sellout. Don't do it. But it's a tool. Like, are you kidding me? It's like anything else, like a pencil.
Yeah.
Or
I mean, the amount of concept artists I know who are now using 3D as their base comp to basically...
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, to get the lighting and perspective like nailed and then do the paint over. Like even guys like Shadi Safadi.
I've heard that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean like guys that
That's
were big
cool. I like that. Why not?
Because I mean, there's like Shadi Safadi, Eitan Zana, some of the guys that worked at like Naughty Dog and stuff in LA, and they were basically saying, you know, a lot of people have this stigma that, oh, it's not traditional art and you're cheating, and the same kind of thing when people started talking about photo bashing, how using photo reference and textures and paintings, you know, you're not really an artist. But they were saying, you know, whatever gets the final result usually is what people want to see. You know, your boss doesn't care how you got to the end result; he just cares, you know, of the end result. So yeah.
Absolutely. I don't see why not utilize everything. Like I still do extensive live drawing. I always have references even when I draw because it's free information.
Yeah.
And why not use it? I mean, yeah, I get it. It's like some people are very good at doing stuff out of their head, and I'm not.
Yeah.
So I admit it. So I'm like, whatever. You know, this is my path to getting to where I am, and I'm not ashamed of it, or I'm not bashing anybody else either.
No. And I think
different methods.
It's weird. I think how people always talk about like even aside from stuff like photo reference or photo bashing in 3D, I've seen even people attack professional artists on like Facebook and stuff when they've used even just plain reference, just a reference photo. Saying that, oh no, you know, you should.
That's so weird.
Yeah, you should know that, but you should know how to paint a tree off by hand, or you should know how to paint a skull without looking at a photo. And you're kind of like, well, no. I mean, like even with life drawing, you're sitting drawing from reference from a person, like it's standing in front of you. I mean, there's no
absolutely.
I mean, like, there's so much you can obviously build a mental barrier up with a visual library, as Jake Parker calls it, of things in your head that you roughly know how to draw off by hand, but you can't draw everything from memory. It's just impossible.
Yeah.
So.
And sometimes I feel like you're not creatively there. There's days I wake up and like I want to draw something. Every single thing that comes out on paper sucks. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, what is going on? I'm just so not in my element. But I need something, you know. You kind of need that gratification of like a complete drawing that you're happy with. So I'm like, all right, let me put some references, warm up, do some sketches. I use some online websites that kind of simulate gesture drawing, where they'll give you poses and they're timed, like you could say 30 seconds. So kind of do the warm up part. Yeah, and then either get a reference that I really like, and like, let me see what I can use this for, kind of as a starting point. Yeah. Go from there.
I know. I mean, like
you know what you're telling, like the whole constant, like, oh, you should do this, you should do that. Like, man, I'm so past this. I think just working constantly and having a kid, it's just, you're so exhausted. Like I have no time for just like rat race competition. Yeah. I don't care. I don't care at all. Like whatever means, I need to use, I'll use them. Yeah. And even because I don't know, maybe you've noticed I use this blending stick to blend on my drawings. Yeah. I didn't do this because I was like trying to be original or try to find something new. Literally, I was trying to save my hand because I have bad RSI from work. Yeah. So instead of cross hatching, I'm like, okay, let me use this kind of as a substitute for your fingers, and I'm like, oh, this is such a relief. So it's weird how you find solutions through pain.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely
in my case
it's more prominent, I think, the higher you get up, well, I mean, like, you're at the tip of the top, so you're at like one of the biggest studios in the world for it, and I know so many people in similar positions, like within ILM, Sony, who are suffering from stuff like back problems, repetitive strain.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody even told me that I think it was actually supposed to be some of the Pixar guys that they had problems with their eyes because of the amount of time they'd spent on bright monitors in dark rooms.
Yep.
Yeah,
Because you don't blink sometimes. You animate and you're so focused on getting something done, then you blink and it hurts because like your eyes are dry.
yeah.
That happens.
Yeah, I can't
Yeah.
even sit comfortably in my chair now, where I usually sit back. But now you kind of think when you're drawing, eventually you're this close to the screen because you're so intense, you're arched over, and then after about an hour of that, your back is killing you.
You forget.
Yeah,
That's definitely necessary to have a balance of just life and work and
yeah,
everything. Like you can't. I mean, I guess when you're in your 20s, you can do that. You have
Yeah.
a luxury, but once you kind of get past your
right.
25. I don't want to say that.
Yeah,
Makes me feel old.
yeah, I know. Well,
Like after 25, you kind of start to be like, all right, let me slow down and kind of pace myself and really figure out what I need to do to improve health, my work environment. And actually that really helps creatively because you get unstuck from your routine.
yeah,
When fatigue goes away, creativity swoops in, right?
Yeah.
And you feel refreshed and you actually enjoy drawing, enjoy animating.
Yeah.
Because man, I hate when your job becomes kind of dreadful and then you're like, I know I love this, but I hate it right now.
No, I mean, it's totally, Lisa, what you're talking about is something that at the current moment is such a big discussion point. It was only, I think it was maybe last year, I started talking to one of the biggest artists I knew in Scotland at the time, in the UK, and he, had worked at these amazing big studios, and he'd won all these awards and stuff, and he was well known through the industry, and everybody in LA knew him, in California, and all around the world. And he done a kind of big post on how he had been struggling with demons and mental illness, and it's so replicated through every artist I've ever talked to, every person I've ever came across. The mental anguish seems to be because I think when you're drawing for fun, when you're doing your book, when you're drawing sketches for fun, or you're playing with your kids, that's the stuff that you enjoy. But when you then have to push that hobby into a career where you work so many hours, and then you obviously have such a strain of deadlines and be able to try and stay creative every single day. Because famously, guys like Picasso and stuff only painted maybe once every 2 months. Sure, they have a backlog of work, but that was over years and years.
I don't know that. That's...
Yeah. So he would study to an extent every day, but he only tried to create major pieces every couple of months. But I think it's just because there's such a burnout factor, and especially when you're so high up, it's easier to burn out quicker. Even a friend who runs the podcast with me, who initially started it with me, he's working at a studio up in Canada, and he was burning super hot out of the gate from university. Got his first job straight away out of graduating. And after a year, in fact, it was our last episode when we spoke with Colin, and he talked about basically how he just burnt out and didn't want to draw, didn't want to be creative, didn't want to do anything else. And he was
that's the risk.
Yeah, and he was one of the biggest creatives I knew, and he was drawing every day, and his stuff was great, and he was doing so well at the studio, and then all of a sudden he was just done with it. Like not that he hated it, it was just so empty. Like the tank was dry. And the hell with your origin story.
And that's I think the biggest lesson that from my experience is like all that stuff you're talking about, it's okay. Like it's human.
Yeah.
And it's important to remember that. Like I remember being on the whole like, I'm gonna as soon as I finish college, getting my dream job and then murdering that, like this kind of like crazy fast pace.
Yeah.
It was great. I mean, it actually, knock on wood, it's been great with not. I mean, some ups and downs in there, but for the most part, it's been a kind of a steady journey.
Yeah.
But at some point, you're like, okay, so who am I rushing for? Like, there's no end point. Like, I think us as artists, we're lucky that, we're not dependent on kind of our bodies to, like, you don't have a window, right, of like 10 years where you can do your best.
Yeah.
It's really here. Like, you gotta protect your mental health and kind of pace yourself, because you can. I mean, potentially you can do this till, to the end.
Yeah.
So when you think that way, there's no need for a rush. And it's weird how when I stopped thinking about that and kind of relaxed is when I became the most productive.
Yeah.
Out of the blue. I was like, because you enjoy it, and you anything that you do is not work. You don't consider it work. So you end up doing a lot more. And it's kind of like a weird reverse where you think you're going ahead initially, but you're kind of making like tiny baby steps. And then when you relax, kind of, okay, let me take my time. Maybe a few months, I don't do anything. I just kind of, get myself together. And all of a sudden you start doing the leaps into your either creative development or career, whatever it is.
And I mean, I think it's good to take time away from, I just recently interned at a major studio in Glasgow, who work with guys all over the world, and the standard is so high. But I know guys who work there, they're 8-hour days, and then as soon as they go home, they just switch off, and they don't actually try to do anything past that because the work is so intense in the studio. They need time where they can just switch their brain off. Like it's simple stuff like hang with their girlfriend or their boyfriend, go to the cinema, take nice walks, relax. And I think it's this is going to sound so weird to me because I do love this film, but there's a film by Julia Roberts based on a book, and it's called Eat, Pray, Love. So there's a whole section where she goes to Italy, and they talk about a word they have. I can't remember the Italian word, but it's basically the art of doing nothing, where Americans have this thing where they have to be constantly switched on, and when they have a break, it's like, oh no, I deserve a break. But Italians have this thing where they just constantly are always seeking the time to do nothing, to relax, to sit and have a coffee, to watch the world go by. And I think a lot of people, because the world's getting quicker and quicker, and the art industry is getting so competitive, people rarely switch off, and I think that's the problem. That's why mental health now is such a big issue in the industry. Do you feel the same, or?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I totally. I mean, I can relate. It's weird how guilty we get to take vacations, just because like everybody else is on the constant hustle, and you're like, oh, maybe I should be doing that too. But I really kind of want to just go and chill on a beach for a minute, even not go anywhere, just kind of go here.
Yeah. Especially having a daughter, because obviously, tricky. You want to spend time with her as well. Yeah, definitely. So I mean,
she's priority for everything at this point. And actually, that's probably, now that you said it, I think that was a decisive factor for me. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna do this where it becomes unsustainable. Like I have to make sure that she comes first. She gets all the attention she needs.
Yeah, of course.
And then everything else I have to just squeeze everything else in that world.
Yeah, because you don't want your job to be your whole life. I mean, it's great that you're known for your career and people know about your book and your work and stuff like that, but, first and foremost, like you said, you want to be a good mum, you want to be obviously a good wife as well, and have a family and have that part of your... And I think so much of our life is spent, especially artists now, and especially if you're working in entertainment, games or movies, balance is such a hard thing to find. Because, again, the competitive nature, you always want to be learning something new, you always want to be pushing yourself, because, there's guys half your age coming up the back of you who can draw twice as fast, and you're trying to create, relevance and make sure that you're still needed, but at the same time, you want to be able to chill. And especially, and I think it's, like we were just I talked about this earlier, with America and Europe, you guys don't have any paternity leave, you have to get private healthcare, and like where we get something like it's between 7 and 8 weeks paid vacation in Europe, you guys get 0, or you're entitled to 0, but some companies obviously have maybe 2 weeks sometimes you get. Yeah.
Maternity leave is the worst. It's, oh man, this needs to be figured out, because it's embarrassing how little care and recognition there is to this, to being a parent, to being healthy,
I mean,
that's the thing. I think that's the biggest kind of, the side. What do you call it? Sorry. The consequence of all this is you start feeling disposable, right? You start feeling like anybody can do my job. I'm just like kind of a little ant in this giant nest. I'm not worthy. It's because of this constant race. You kind of try always to feel like you need to catch up. So
yeah.
I'm all about like kind of gaining your
Mental health
autonomy back,
yeah.
especially. That's why I just started pushing for my art stuff, and the reason I stuck with pencil, well, one reason is that I don't have the real estate in my house to paint and kind of be messy and have toxic fumes around my kid.
Yeah.
But also, I don't want to be in front of a computer when I get home. So I'm like, anything I can do to be away. So pencil turned out to be a great tool for that, and just still be kind of doing stuff that I care for a lot. Still draw even though I don't draw for a living.
Yeah.
And and 5 years later, there's a book coming, which is crazy.
Yeah, which is great. And I mean, I think it actually echoes something that I watched the other night, which is Michael Moore, who does a lot of the American documentaries. He just had that latest one, which is Where to Invade Next. And he went across Europe and looked at stuff like their healthcare, their working hours, how their employees treat their workers. And like even in he went to, I think it was one of the factories in Italy and and places like Slovenia and Germany where they get like 2 hours for lunch, they get the paid vacation, and then he said what it is an investment into the culture of our workers where because they get time to relax, they get good lunches, they get good pay, they get good benefits, they work harder at the job and they also last longer at it, because their health is a priority. And even the paternity leave, I mean, there's only like 2 countries in the world that can't afford paternity leave. One of them is, I think, somewhere in Uganda. Another one is America. And whereas, like, across here, I think most people, I can't remember specifically in the UK, but I think it is, you get 6 months full pay, then you get 6 months half pay, or 3 months half pay, and then 3 months with nothing. But still, you can take almost a year off with money.
That's amazing, yeah.
To stay with your kids.
So necessary. It's so necessary.
But then you would have had to probably had your kids and then more or less went straight back to work.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're still doing stuff around that, right? Yeah. It's kind of like, when there's a trust and care entrusted in you, you feel the necessity to give back and perform even better. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of always the case, right? Like in any industry, you want to perform at your best.
Yeah.
It's just it's a weird industry here between LA and San Francisco. It's gotten so much faster and more competitive.
I think
definitely more techy.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. I think studios, especially in America and Europe as well, is guilty of this. Even though obviously we have kind of better working conditions, there still is a stigma where a lot of studios are spoiled for artists, and there's so many people want to do it. So if you ever have to complain or you threaten something, even like a strike or something that you would complain about a condition, the guys would say at the studio, well, that's great, but there's 10 people at the back of you that want your job. So and I think that's why guys like Ash Thorpe and Maciej Kutiara and a lot of other guys in LA are kind of championing this thing where they're trying to move towards thinking that stuff like unionization would be great, having a union within artists, because obviously there is a union that exists within movies and stuff, but it's less prominent throughout the rest of the industry, and a lot of people don't have rights like equal pay, time off, parental conditions, health insurance. It's all this kind of stuff that lacks because artists are seen as disposable commodities. I think it's interesting to hear everybody's taking it because a lot of people think the American dream is one that's great to chase, and that these massive big, and I mean not bashing your studio or any other studio in America, a lot of the guys do great work, and I've heard as many great stories as bad stories about people working there, but I think the work culture is something that everybody agrees needs to be addressed at one point if people want to keep their sanity. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's I think Pixar is kind of a little island in a sea of craziness.
Yeah.
Which is great. I'm lucky, but I've heard bad stories about bad bosses and crazy unfairness. All kinds of.
Yeah, I mean, like even we had a story from years ago with a guy who went for an interview. I think it was in a studio in America. I can't remember what specific studio, but it was under EA. And they went for the interview, everything was fine, and they got on really well. And then the guys, I think they offered them the job there and then, and said, would you be fine to start? And the guy was like, yeah, that's great, and he was so excited. And they were walking through doing like a little studio tour, and he saw a set of sleeping bags under a couple of the guys' desks. And when he kind of broke away and talked to them and said, "Oh, but were you guys like staying over here one night for something?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, that's just like there in case we need it, because most nights or most weekends we have to stay here extra hours and don't get paid for it. So rather than go home or commute, we just sleep at the studio." And he was kind of like, "Oh well, I don't want to work here anymore." So it's.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I was to say this is not surprising. You know, I heard that before.
Yeah.
Many times.
Yeah.
And not necessarily having sleeping bags. We just crash. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Desks or couches.
Yeah.
Sleep.
I mean, even a couple of years ago, I remember watching, like, because the reason I wanted to get into the industry was watching a lot of the, behind the scenes documentaries, and one of the first things I learned about in game dev was crunch or sprint, or the thing where the guys stay 10, 11 hours every day to get something finished for a deadline. And you'd think even 10 years ago when I was watching those documentaries that stuff would be gone, but it still exists till this day.
Oh yeah, it
Yeah.
exists this time, and I think we're starting to feel it too, because we changed our kind of a target goal from one movie every year to three movies every 2 years.
Oh, right, wow.
Right, so 1 year would be two movies, and man, things are speeding up, which it's making crunch times longer,
Yeah.
and it's rough,
Yeah.
but again, you gotta pace yourself.
Yeah,
'Cause,
definitely.
if this is, I mean, when you think about it, like if this is forever, like can you literally do
I mean,
it?
yeah.
It's possible for you,
Yeah.
for me.
Mhm.
And when I think that way, I'm like, okay, well, that means I have to just plan better when I'm here. Like I really focus on things get done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's good
not
to
like,
but no, so it's like saying
Sorry.
that no, it's fine. But it's good to, like you're saying, the thing with the paper and pencil. It's good to get away and switch your brain off when you come home, because I think that's the problem where a lot of my hobbies used to be sitting in front of a computer playing games because I was a gamer back in the day, and then focusing on a career that involves me sitting in front of a computer. So now I'm always sitting in front of a computer. So it's trying to balance. So that's like, recently I've lost a lot of weight because I started going out cycling. I've started rock climbing. Stuff I'd never do years ago,
Nice.
but now, because my work is so intensive on a computer and a screen, I'm trying to break away from that as much as I can. Even stuff like
yeah, you need it. I think your body needs it. It's like,
Oh,
get
yeah.
away from that thing.
I know, even just to not be sitting in a chair. But I mean, sometimes I take
Yeah.
take my iPad away outside and sketching and painting on, apps and stuff outside.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And speaking about painting outside, we get to talk about Procreate for a couple of minutes because we are sponsored by
Yeah.
Procreate. So, if you guys don't know, we're sponsored by Procreate. I'm just going to take a quick moment to talk about our sponsor. So Procreate is an Apple Design award-winning digital painting and illustration solution designed exclusively for iOS. Procreate allows you to create professional-grade artworks wherever you are, with an advanced dual-texture brush engine, a robust layering system, and groundbreaking canvas resolutions, all for $5.99, and that's UK. You can find Procreate through the App Store on your iPad or at procreate.art. So Lisa, you've used Procreate briefly. You were saying it was super intuitive. I think was what you were saying. Were the words?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it because that's exactly what it is. It's the closest thing I've ever kind of encountered to drawing, and just being outside is such a bonus.
Yeah.
Anything that just breaks away from like the whole desk, chair, monitor from whatever this distance is scenario is a blessing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
I
I think,
love it. Yeah, I've tried. I'm kind of obsessed with watching tutorials right now.
Yeah.
Not tutorials. Sorry. What do you call it?
Streams or
Streams and a lot of like the speed
paintings. Yeah. Speed painting. Yeah.
Speed paintings.
Yeah.
By a lot of just like James Jean recently released a bunch, and I'm fascinated. Like the stuff that comes out is unbelievable. I'm not there yet, but can't wait to start like really
give it a go. Yeah, I mean, I think
playing
for
around
me,
and
Procreate is a good thing because, I mean, a lot of people really have been championing, saying them that, oh, it'd be great if you created a desktop app to kind of compete with Photoshop, and, well, I'm assuming that's probably an idea they've had at one point. I think it's great that Procreate still takes you away from the computer, so grabbing my iPad and then going and sitting under a tree and painting with a stylus is, especially with the iPad Pro and the Apple Pencil, I mean, it's as close as you're going to get to pen and paper as a digital format as anything. And then the thing that I super love about Procreate, I think is great when you talk about speed painting, is the fact that everything you draw in Procreate is recorded. So any time you can then hit a button and it plays back.
That's a great thing.
Yeah, and it plays back.
And it's weird how when you see a process, it's completely kind of it's alien. Like, wow, this is how I think, because you don't think when you're drawing.
Yeah.
So it's nice to kind of look back and even analyze like what you're doing. Why not?
And then I mean, even the fact that I was talking to you earlier about this, how you can stream directly from the app. So when you're wanting to do
awesome.
lessons or anything virtually, you can just stream straight.
I haven't tried it, but I'm doing it.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, for the money it costs, I mean, like obviously in comparison, a lot of other apps are super expensive, but a couple of bucks for that is an absolute steal. And I was saying to Eliza that if you don't know, you guys obviously can always win a copy on the podcast. We give away a copy every month, and to do that again, you just like and comment below, and ask why you would want the copy, and I can PM yous. But Procreate are going to be unveiling the new Procreate app at industry workshops in London in September, or so at the end of August. And I'll be there to kind of work with them on that. But Procreate 4 will be getting announced, or has been announced, and then the new app will be getting unleashed on the public industry workshop. So if you guys want to come down to industry workshops in London, you can check out tickets for that just now online through Google, and come down and give it a try. The guys, Matt and the team, will be there from Procreate the whole weekend, giving people live demos and showing them how the new app works. And Nikolai Lockerstein, if you know him, will be there demoing it as well. If you don't know, Eliza, Nikolai is a guy who basically has built his entire concept career just using an iPad and stylus. Never really touched Photoshop, never really touched anything computer-wise. He just paints exclusively on iPad. And this was before even the iPad Pro and the pencil. He was doing it way back in the day with $2 styluses and a Generation 1 iPad. So yeah, he's been going for a while. So he'll be there demoing some painting techniques and some perspective stuff. Even crazy stuff I found out about last year, that they have an inbuilt perspective tool that can basically make a perspective. No, it's fine. A basic perspective for you really quickly on the iPad. So it's great. Yeah. So thanks again to Procreate, and you'll hear more about that later down the line. So, Lisa, we've obviously talked earlier on in the interview about you kind of starting off at Cal Arts and your journey through there, and then obviously about motivation in the industry. So we want to try and talk about when you got to Pixar out of university. What was the feeling moving from your full-time education into work, and especially from being a student to such a massive AAA studio like Pixar? How was that for you?
I mean, it's always hard because you don't know what you're really getting yourself into. You kind of have that intruder complex syndrome, whatever it's called,
imposter
where you
syndrome.
Feel like yeah, exactly. Thing where you feel it's just like, okay, there's a fluke here. I mean, it took a while. It took a good, I want to say 6 months before before I got kind of comfortable in the environment. It's never easy to transition from that bubble into the real thing.
Yeah.
But also it's, you kind of have to trust that they hired for a reason.
Yeah.
So I kind of have to remind myself a few times, like, okay, I know I've done this before. It's a matter of
just on a bigger
now
scale.
doing it for real.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I mean, obviously, your first intro into the company was one of their major motion pictures, which was Cars 2, I think. So what primarily at that level were you working on for the movie? Was it any kind of main props or cars or environments, or what were you doing at the time?
I started doing promo stuff, like little clips for promo, which is great because they're kind of like isolated shots that you do, and since they're not part of the official movie, I don't get the pressure of like finish something and then, it definitely ends up somewhere, some kind of screen. It's just kind of like a mental distance from like, okay, I'm not really working on the movie. So they gave me a few shots there. I did some promo stuff, and then slowly I was eased into the actual movie where I did, first I started doing some crowd stuff. I was doing fixes on different shots, if something either broken or unfinished because the animator ran out. I would be, I would finish it and either polish it or reanimate, whatever needs to be done.
Yes.
So that was kind of my first pass, was fixing crowds.
I mean, you doing that?
It's kind of like support.
Yeah, were you doing that primarily in Maya or any Autodesk software, or what were you guys using to animate at the time, or what were you using?
Well, Pixar has their own software.
Oh, right.
It's proprietary.
Right.
So you actually can't really learn it outside of the
right,
company.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting.
Which is I think it's based on Maya, but like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's completely changed. So some stuff overlap. For the most part, though, there's a huge support team here that caters towards the animators. Like they would, if we need something, they would build it, which is amazing.
Right.
To me, it's just so freeing. Except there's always new ideas, new tools coming out. So it's exciting to kind of test it out, learn stuff.
Especially since probably you started on Cars all those years ago, which I think was 2011, something like that. And then obviously the stuff they're doing now, even with we all know Toy Story 4's in the works, but the technology now, because I think even if you compare it to what you guys will probably produce eventually with Toy Story 4 and what the first Toy Story looks like, that's crazy. Because going back looking even at the first Toy Story the other day, because it was on terrestrial TV, and I just kind of had it on, and you do look at the animations in the 3D quality, and you're kind of thinking to yourself, we have gone on quite a bit, even in 5 years. Like, a lot has changed there. So
and it's weird how when you see the movie for the first time, you never have that impression. You're always like, oh my god, this is cutting edge. And then 5 years pass, you're like, this can be so much better. Because I think our eyes are refined, and we see so many movies. That's one thing I keep telling people in general is, don't underestimate the audience. I feel like as filmmakers, sometimes it's easy, like, either this joke is going to work because, people like that kind of stuff. Or, they will notice this or that. Like, people notice, and people know when something's good. That's why it's very important to keep pushing quality.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that's the good thing about Pixar, where I don't think they've ever tried to treat their audience as, I wouldn't say dumb, but as thinking that they were lowbrow, they wouldn't get a lot of the jokes, or they wouldn't find the stuff entertaining. I think it's always been a good thing that they've treated their audience as intellectual, or kind of an audience that would appreciate a lot of the artwork they're doing, especially because Pixar now puts out such high quality stuff. I think they set the bar for the whole industry, especially when it comes to even 3D motion graphics and cinematography. Because obviously a lot of people initially, the whole pitch when your founder at the time, John, had actually pitched it to Disney, and in other studios, he was talking about the 3D technology that can make cartoons and it can make it more involving, and people are always like, I don't think kids would be into that, I don't think it's going to be bankable, and then, just a mere 17 years later.
Doesn't that always backfire? It's like as soon as you say that, it's kind of like, exactly the opposite is going to happen.
Pretty much.
I have no idea how people always assume like, it's not going to work. Like, try it. Why not? I mean, I get it with like big budget stuff. It's hard to take risks, but sometimes you kind of have to trust the audience and trust your product. And really kind of, even if it's something weird, if you kind of have the gut feeling that it's going to work, that's usually a good sign to me, at least.
Definitely. And then, would you say, like, between, obviously, like, say your first project, I mean, you've worked in your student films, that's one thing, and you used your programs at the time, then you worked in Cars, which was the big motion picture at the time, and then, what was the latest one that was published, that was released, that you worked on? Wasn't it Brave, was something after that?
The latest one is The Good Dinosaur.
Right,
That's the last one. So I skipped both Cars 3 and Dory.
Right.
I didn't work on them.
Right. Oh, but I think you did some work on Inside Out as well, didn't you? Yeah.
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 I did.
So, I mean, what would you find, or would you say is a comparison between, like, your first project at Pixar and your latest one? I mean, probably not even just the technology, but even the culture and the studio. Have you found it's changed with the industry? I mean, is it affected, like you said, it's in its own bubble in the Bay Area, but do you find that the games and movies industry still has an influence on it, or do you guys kind of stick to like your own mentality within the campus?
Yeah. Well, when you think about it, like each movie, it takes about 5 years to be made, right?
Yeah.
So actually, by the time Inside Out comes out, that was the idea was conceived like 5 years ago.
Behind you.
So in a way, it feels like, oh, you come out with a movie and it feels fresh to you.
Yeah.
But to us, like we've been working like crazy,
and so
long time. So I can see. I mean, definitely the software has improved. Like things, it's funny. Like we always get more like space on the servers on the farms, and to render our movies faster. But it's never fast enough. I think because our own movies get more complex. Lighting gets more complex, rendering, sim, everything, effects, of course. And from animation standpoint, it depends on the director, to be honest. If the director usually kind of dictates the environment of the film and how the synergy goes between everybody. I was lucky to be on both like The Good Dino and Inside Out with like amazing directors. They're both they've worked in animation. They've been animators before, so kind of they have that animator mentality, and you get great notes. You were very much trusted, like you would. They would be like, "Okay, just go, just try ideas, try this, try that," which is very empowering, And that's the big, I think, difference between the last project I worked on in the beginning. The beginning, you're kind of, you have to do what your leads tell you because you don't really know much and you haven't developed like an eye for the final refined work. Where in the end, it's a lot more responsibility on my end, but that's the fun part because then I get to try stuff and really kind of like I feel like I'm appreciated and it's great.
Work.
Yeah. And it's a lot more work.
But you're getting to lead the charge more than you did when you were coming off as a student. So I mean, would you find that as well that again within the studio since you started 7 years ago, has the culture shifted work-wise? I mean, do you guys find that I'm trying to think of the specifics of how to answer this question, but even stuff like, do you get good feedback? Are you motivated to keep learning?
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
You know what? One thing is we don't really have much time just because of the schedules and stuff. As I told you, we're doing instead of one movie per year, 3 movies every 2 years, which means like our schedules have gotten tighter.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, we don't have much room for like just experimentation anymore. It used to be more before. Sometimes we do. It really depends on kind of again the movie. How far we are with story, how much is locked. But now we have to do things a little bit faster, and it's just adjusting to that new pace. It is what it is. It's not really a big problem. Just kind of the new nature.
So there's more kind of. Would you say there's more pressure on you now than when you started? Even taking aside the fact that you're probably more senior, but just in general as an artist, there's more expected of you.
Just speed-wise, yes, a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it's weird because we've set our own bar so high that we can't be like, okay, for faster time, we can kind of compromise quality. Like, no, we want to still do the best quality possible, which that's like our own pressure to just do the same quality of work in a short amount of time.
And then when you're working kind of day to day, what is your kind of 9 to 5, even, I mean, not talking specific at the moment because you might be working under stuff that's under NDA, but mostly, and maybe even the last year, what has been your daily routine or your weekly routine? Are you kind of coming in 9 to 5 animating most of the day?
Yeah. I'm given shots, and usually those are briefed like a week in advance. Well, so they're briefed, and then I have a week or two, depends on how long the shots are, to kind of block and do some IP stuff, get notes, and then there's few more weeks to like finish the shots and polish them so they're the best quality. But yeah, it's like you come in, you get your coffee, sit down. That's kind of the routine. I try to do stuff at lunchtime, like either go to the gym or go to gesture drawing.
Yeah.
That usually just, kind of when you break from routine, it's such a refreshing feeling.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I mean, and then...
So you do like zone out and kind of...
Yeah, into the zone. So you're primarily just doing animation, so you're not... Are you working on anything UV, texture-wise, any kind of final output, or is it just purely animation?
Yeah, it's just purely animation.
Cool.
There's amazing people that do the other stuff. I can't even...
Yeah.
I don't even want to try.
I just finished my third year project back in July, May, and I made a small corridor in 3D in Maya, and I textured it using Substance and UV'd it and stuff. And I mean, the end result was really good. I'll have to send it to you. Yeah, it was going through the whole shebang, like building everything and then UVing and then texture and lighting. Oh my god, it was a lot. So, and so, what's your typical work week hours like? Because I mean, say in Europe we tend to work between 35 and 40 hours a week. Is that standard for you guys?
Yeah, that's the standard usually. It depends. Like once we kind of hit crunch time, we do overtime and
weekends
some weekends.
Yeah, yeah.
So you can get to 50 hours sometimes, but that's always expected. Like
yeah, definitely. And then
even when we know we're doing a good job and pace ourselves, like you always end up doing overtime.
Yeah. Because you want the studio to do well as well, because you want to be proud of your work. It's just an artist
absolutely.
thing, yeah, definitely.
And yeah, kind of, we internally like become a little bit competitive, like, oh, so-and-so did this shot, it's so good now, like, let's try this mouth shape, let's try this expression on this character.
Yeah.
So even within the movie, our aesthetic kind of evolves as we go.
Yeah, definitely. And then, I mean, that's probably why, like, you're obviously working on the projects you're working on is great because, hey, it's Pixar, it's this big massive company, it's got this big legion behind it. But then you talked about, obviously, just before the ad read, that you were obviously taken away from that at home. You were trying to do something that wasn't computer related. You were trying to draw more with pen and pencil and build a kind of collection. So this is where raw material comes in because, you have a book, you're Kickstarting it. Well, the Kickstarter was just launched, which, you've funded, which is great. For any artist, that's the amazing step.
That was awesome.
Yeah, and then, of course, even at recording just now, on the Thursday, we're at 28,920 of your 5,000 goal. So that's like, it must be something like 300-400%
it's
back.
Bananas. It's crazy. Yeah. I'm super happy because now the book has become, the possibilities now are endless. We can do so much, and like quality will be better just because now we can print more books for less money. Yeah. So we can afford, fancy stuff. Yeah. But yeah, that's exactly as you said. Like that was my escape from the computer.
Yeah.
And just being home, kind of doodle. It started as doodles, but I mean, it's like I'm so passionate about drawing that it is. I can tell that like every time I get a commission, that's all I want to do. I'm like, I just want to jump it, do it. Same with illustrations, with tutorials, and all of a sudden, like 5 years pass, and I have pretty massive collection of art. I'm like, I think we should probably start scanning this.
Yeah, and put it in your book.
It took about 6 months to scan and kind of clean up all the artwork and start putting it together. And as soon as I was feeling kind of confident, like there's something to that, that's where I connected with some people to try to help me out with the publishing part.
Yeah. And then
I didn't really plan to do a Kickstarter because I was like, well, I have some money saved for this. Like, I'll just do it anyway.
Right.
But definitely, now I see that crowdfunding is really beneficial when you're trying to improve what you're trying to do.
Yeah, because then obviously, if you get the extra money, you can push the quality of the actual final product.
Absolutely, and our pages make the book bigger. So it's super fun.
So, I mean, for people who don't know what raw material is, because obviously we're talking about it back and forth, and we've kind of discussed it, and I know because being an artist, people have linked it to me, I've seen it before I met you, before we started talking, but for people out there who are listening in the audience who, this is their first introduction to you, this is the first introduction to your Kickstarter, what is raw material, what are you aiming to do with it, and where can they help find or fund it on the internet?
Well, I call it raw material because I don't erase anymore. I just kind of want to explore the whole idea. Like, let me just keep drawing and just layer stuff on top of drawings.
Yeah.
Because there's something to that I'm missing when I do digital work. Some people are great. I can't do it yet.
Yeah.
But maybe Procreate will help me get there. It's there's this weird magic about pencil and graphite and the texture that you get. So I just started doing that and more, get more messy stuff and just keep it raw. That's why I call it raw material. Like just no editing, barely any erasing, any whatever you see on the paper. That's what's going to end up on the book.
Which is a technique from one of the biggest artists out there, Scott Robertson. He's an advocate of never erasing. So yeah. Yeah,
I love it. It's for some reason that's the way I think and kind of find logic in this like chaos of lines, and a lot of times personality comes out from imperfections, and it's weird how this mentality now I'm trying to apply to animation as well. I'm trying not to make every single arc perfect. Sometimes human behavior is glitchy, it's twitchy. There's like the subtleties that we can add, and all of a sudden you can feel it, like you don't really see or realize what you're seeing. So it's like a back and forth process between my drawing and my animation. But yeah, definitely. So that's kind of what the book is. It's a collection of sketches from a bunch of sketchbooks, some loose leaf stuff I've done for galleries or for companies.
Yeah.
It's pretty big. It's like 160 pages. It actually might get, the deluxe version we're doing, it's 180 something.
Right.
My feeling is going to get bigger, probably like 200.
It's kind of growing arms and legs at this point. It's just kind of reaching out. Yeah.
So that's where people can help.
Yeah. So that's just on Kickstarter, and then it's just, I take it with I'll post the URL below for anybody who wants to back the project. I would advise you do, because it's going to be, I think, it'll probably be quite a limited run. I'd imagine once you took the initial backers and printed and shipped out, I would imagine you would be planning to do too many more prints or runs of it. Would it just be kind of limited to the people who back the Kickstarter?
Yeah. I mean, we'll see how we can do it, but there's several different types of book that we're doing. There's soft cover, hardcover, the deluxe one. So I know once we kind of start doing the different versions, that's where the funds will go.
Yeah, towards the stretch goals. Yeah, great. So I mean, check out the Kickstarter below. I'll leave the link and any other information that Lisa gives me about backing the project. And then that should be it really. The best of luck to the Kickstarter, and I hope it does well. I mean, it's already backed, but again, it's great to see it just continuing to grow, because I think even since yesterday, I think it's something like another 20 backers have came on even in one day. So it's maddening.
I appreciate it. I mean, to be honest, like everybody reposting it's usually when things start to grow, just because everybody has their own audience, and I just appreciate that. Just exposing this product to more people who might be interested, and it's super helpful. That's why I thank you as well for showing interest in talking about the book.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's always great to get a creator on, especially someone who's at the top of your game, especially working for Pixar. And the history you've had, and then I know the book at the time was shared to me through a common friend. I think it's Spiridon, who'd shared it, and he's working on his own version of a book just now for events, but. So it was great to just see the project, and I didn't know who you were at the time, but watching the Kickstarter video, I was like, oh, this seems really, because I'm a huge advocate. You can't really see it just now, but my bookcase to the left of me, I'm a huge advocate of art books. That's basically how I got into the industry. I used to collect video games back in the day.
Awesome.
So I used to collect the art books that came with them, because the art book thing it only started about 5 or 6 years ago, when the industry really started to make concept artists, because concept artists have never really existed for a long time. And I think one of
you're right. It's like a boom now, which is amazing. I'll encourage everybody who's got a bunch of sketches laying around, just make a book.
Yeah, definitely. Because I think I was saying that
Amazing.
I think one of the first ones I ever got personally was the Art of Skyrim book from the guys at Bethesda. And wow, yeah, flicking through that, it definitely opened my eyes to, I was like, oh shit, you can paint dragons and mountains and stuff and get paid to do it. Like, I never knew this job existed, and which is, I think, a similar story for a lot of people. Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, it's an expanding collection. But yeah, I'm always, although one thing I wanted to talk to you about really quickly before we finish is you were recently at San Diego Comic Con, which would have been super amazing. It's my dream to be there one year, doing sketches and stuff.
You should. It's fun.
Yeah. How did you find it?
Oh man, it was so fun. It was very overwhelming, but I'm doing this from now on forever.
Yeah.
Initially, I went there with like no preconceived notion. I've been there once, like 7 years ago, which it's grown so much since then.
Yeah.
But I've never been as a vendor. It's my first time having a table there.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, nobody knows me. Some people who do know me maybe will stop by, but for the most part, like, I'm not part of that regular crowd.
Yeah.
And to my surprise, it was really interesting how many people would stop just based on, my artwork in the back. I didn't put, my job anywhere on purpose, just because it was a nice experiment to see if people would just stop because of the artwork. It was awesome. It was so fun to see and meet people based on that. And a lot of times they were like, so do you have a day job? Like, what do you do? Like, yeah, I kind of have a day job.
Yeah, I work at Pixar, and they're like, oh shit, yeah.
That thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine you left the Pixar out of it because you would have got so many fanboys probably being like, oh yeah, I didn't like this movie and I like this movie, and you're like, oh god.
I don't mind. I still got a ton of people in art because I would mention it, of course, and people were like, oh man, what did you work on? But I think part of it is I don't want to deceive people.
Yeah.
Especially, my artwork is definitely, there's a lot of, there's, gruesome stuff, there's nudity, like nothing really family friendly.
Yeah, because they would think, oh, you must have set like the whole art direction for the film, and you're like, no, it's like...
Yeah, and they would like flip through my books and be like, there's skulls and killings and what's happening? Are you sure?
Yeah, you sure you work at Pixar? Yeah. Because it's weird because one of my friends, Matt Gazer, who lives in the Bay Area, I'll need to connect you guys, but he's at DreamWorks and ILM, and when he launched his book recently, I can remember, oh god, that's terrible, I should know the name of Matt's book, but anyway, Matt just launched his own book, and it's amazing. It's Fantastical by Matt Gazer, and he actually started going around cons to promote it, and since he started doing that, he's been like, constantly at every convention in the Bay Area because he's like, I love it. I just love meeting people. I love getting to do commissions and speaking to people one-on-one. But
that's the best part, is like that human connection.
Oh, yeah.
Because online is so hard. It's really quiet. I mean, Instagram to me is great for that because it's the most social one that I've encountered, both Instagram and Facebook. Yeah, but even that is not enough. Like, you're definitely on top of people.
Because it's weird as well because so many people I've talked to in this industry who are now concept artists or going towards that direction of the industry, nearly everyone I've interviewed has always talked about how they wanted to start in comic books, which is like universal, because even when I started and I left my job 5 years ago, it wasn't as much concept. I did additionally have a spell where I was like, I want to go draw for Marvel or DC and do like Batman, Spider-Man. And that's how I got into figure drawing and drawing superheroes and stuff. So, and I've done cons for the last couple of years as well, and I've always found it rewarding doing sketches and stuff. So, and final question before we wrap up. You met someone at San Diego Comic Con who is like one of my personal heroes, Kim.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was nuts.
Yeah. So for people who don't know,
so crazy. I was shaking. I was like this the entire time.
People don't know, Eliza met up with Kim Jong-ji, who is the South Korean artist who we all know is ridiculous. Like, the guy draws 3D perspective from his brain.
He's a genius, yeah.
But then you actually look at his history, and he talks about how he has like cupboards full of sketchbooks, where he basically has sat for the last, like, underground, has sat for the last 5 years and sketched every day for 6 hours, like maybe even more every day, and people always say,
awesome.
how did I get in the industry? How did I get my stuff noticed? Exactly that. You have to work your ass off to the point,
Yes.
I mean, one of my drum teachers years ago, this was going way back, always said something to me which was, stick until you stick out, and there's nothing more true about this industry. So yeah, it was. So how was it to meet? Was it incredible or?
Oh man, it was surreal, yes. And his booth was kind of around the corner, so I would always go there. There's always people watching him go. But no, we were so preoccupied with drawing, so I was just kind of being a quiet fangirl in the back.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. No,
but at some point I introduced myself, and that's when he told his translator something, and they're like, "Oh, he really likes your drawings." And he's like, "What?"
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
He knows my stuff. It was really cool.
Senpai noticed me.
Very cool.
Yeah. So
exactly.
No,
I had my kind of moment of
freak out. Yeah.
Freak out. Exactly. It was so fun.
Okay, Eliza. Well, you need to go back to work. But just again to say thank you for taking the time to speak to us. Yeah, it's been an absolute honour. And we'll need to try and get you back on at one point later down the line.
Let's do it.
Yeah, definitely. For anybody who's want to connect with you, how can they find your stuff? Where's the best place to get a hold of you?
I think Instagram is the easiest way, and Facebook.
Right.
Feel free to post links.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'll put all the links down below in the description.
Awesome.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks again to Eliza, and then we will also be giving away our Procreate codes in the monthly giveaway. So if you guys comment below, give us a like and even a share if you want to help. And yeah, in the comments just ask or tell us why you deserve a Procreate code, and we will pick a winner in the next week or two once the podcast goes live. Yeah, and that's it, guys. Stay tuned for the next interview coming up. We will have a couple of extra ones leading up towards industry workshops in London. Again, check you guys out on the website, and we'll speak to you all soon. Okay, bye guys.
Bye.